Welcome to the We Are Money podcast, brought to you by Beasley Mitchell and Company. I am Brad Beasley, and thank you all for joining us today. We got an exciting program here set up with you. David, it's nice to have you in studio.
Thanks. It's nice to be in studio.
That's good. That's good. I know that you just got done with tax season, so you're looking a little relieved and refreshed after the April 15th deadline.
Yes, and I'll feel much better once everything's been confirmed that it's filed.
Right, because we always go through this 3-day window of stuff gets sent in, and now we're waiting for stuff to come back, and it's just this whole thing, right?
Yep, and then you just wait for any notices to come back.
Right. So that's what we have to do, dealing with notices and dealing with those kind of things. Well, we're going to deal with a little bit of a shifting gears today. We have in with us today is Mario Mocha, who's the Director of Athletics for New Mexico State University and widely regarded, at least in our studio, as one of the best athletic directors in the country. And so, Mario, we're certainly happy to have you in today.
Brad, I appreciate it. Now, there's 3 other people in the studio, so I don't know if that's it's a big sample size of how good I am in the industry, but thanks for the compliment.
Yeah, I mean, of all the athletic directors we know, I mean, you're definitely one of them.
That's nice. That's
yes.
very nice. And I will say, as a client and customer of Beasley Mitchell, I've never been audited. Always get a nice return.
I like that.
So yeah, things are going well.
Yeah. See, a lot of people when April 15th hits, they say, "Oh, well, you're done with this year's tax season." We actually go, "Whew, that's another year that fell off a statute from 3 years ago that the IRS can't touch." So
see, that's what I figure. Like April 16th, you guys are on a beach somewhere. But no, you're in the studio here.
We are, and that's it's because we feel that our listeners need, they just need to hear our voices, and quite honestly, that's just what we have to do.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give the people what they want.
Right, and the beach will come later.
Yes.
It's comforting that my tax man and my attorney are here at my beck and call 24/7.
Always,
Yes,
always, and we're available on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram. So now you're a big Twitter guy. I follow you on Twitter. How did you kind of make that conscious decision to go on Twitter? Because you're a great follow. I love following what you post.
Well, obviously you had Facebook and Instagram, Snapchat, Periscope, all these things that were coming out, and Twitter. It started out where I followed some other athletic directors, and then pretty soon I figured out, hey, that's a really great medium to get the department's message out. Not just, hey, we won or we lost, but hey, here's a highlight that you might want to tell your buddies around the water cooler at work, or hey, these are the upcoming events. So, it's free, and it's media that you can't buy. I mean, obviously the traditional newspapers are maybe going a little bit by the wayside. You're always worried about, radio and TV, the cost versus the ears and eyes on it. And Twitter is something that, you have over 5,000 followers, but when it gets retweeted, it can be seen by, you name it. So it's an unbelievably inexpensive, quick way to communicate with your fan base and with maybe the casual fan as well.
And what I like about it is that, you retweet a lot of interesting things, obviously supporting New Mexico State athletics, but even it gets into I follow them too, Mid-Major Madness, where they really talk about this non-Power 5. So you've got the big boys, and you've got where a lot of schools are. New Mexico State is one of them, fits in that mid-major, below the LSUs, the Alabamas, the Texases that have this just ungodly amounts of money. And, since we're a money show, that's really where the crux of a lot of what's going on with the NCAA now is, right? It's kind of like the haves and then we kind of have a lot of money, but we can't quite get to Texas money.
Sure, and as we all remember, all the schools in Division I or at least in the FBS, the 130 football playing Division I schools used to be all lumped in together.
Right.
And then I think when the salaries started to get ridiculous, $7-8 million annually for Nick Saban, Mike Krzyzewski, the national media said, hey, the athletes aren't really getting anything. Now they're getting a tremendous education and a lot of other stuff, but in comparison to those huge salaries. Right. So, the powers that be, the Power 5 conferences said, hey, we want to have more autonomy with things. We don't want to, because right now, those schools were part of the 351 division schools when it came time to vote. Right. So the little guys could outvote the big guys, and the big guys didn't like it. So they said, hey, we're going to break off maybe completely, or we want more autonomy. So several years ago, they got together, and now we have the autonomous 5 conferences, right? So you have the Pac-12, the Big 10, the Big 12, ACC, and the SEC. And then there's the group of 5, right? The Mountain West, Sun Belt, American. Who else am I missing here? Conference USA, and we're missing one more. But that has been the dichotomy. So you really do have the haves and have-nots. And when you see a school like Nevada basketball, they're paying their coach Eric Musselman, $1 million annually. So they were paying $650,000 from their budget, and they raised another $350 from donors for $1 million guaranteed package. And that coach gets an offer from Arkansas for like $3.5 million. It's not even in the same ballpark.
Right.
So it is definitely the haves and have-nots. And the question is, how long is that sustainable?
Well, and I think that like anything else, it's going to keep evolving. And I guess, part of your job, I think, right, is to just survey that landscape and make sure that you figure out where the next move has to be, because it's going to go quick, right?
There's no doubt. And I think, when a lot of people think about hiring and coaches and things like that, I think you have an understanding that when the offer comes, now we're talking about life-changing money. Even the lowest of the autonomous five or the power five, whatever you want to call them, is offering monies that are not available to us. So if you have something good, hey, enjoy it while you get it. Make it as comfortable for the coach while you have them here, but realize that most probably it's not a forever thing like the big guys.
So then how do you make, we live in the world of return on assets, return on equity, right? Return on investment. When you are looking at hiring coaches or just making capital improvements, how do you kind of make that call of the return on investment? Because like I look at like Florida Atlantic, their football, very depressed football league, cool, it's in Florida, right? But then they made an investment. They went and got Lane Kiffin at $1.5 million. Well, that was a great return on investment, because then they get a lot of notoriety because he's kind of a damaged goods guy, but still is good. But then, they win.
Sure.
I mean, so it's kind of like you're literally making an investment like we would in a business to say, hopefully you get a good return.
There's no doubt. And I think a lot of the group of five schools, it also is kind of like campus driven, because a lot of our folks, look, we take monies from different sources. We get monies, which is a little unique in New Mexico, directly from the state, right to our athletic department, same as the other schools in the state. We get some student fee money, but we also get money directly from the institution itself. So really then it becomes, how much does the institution believe that the athletic program is a driver to the general public and the outside world? And is it worth saying, hey, look, we're going to increase you X amount so you can get a Lane Kiffin or a Chris Jans or you name it, because this is putting not just our athletic program in the national spotlight, but it's allowing us as an institution to have this platform across the country to get our message out, to recruit more potential students to come to New Mexico State. I mean, I read something where Texas Tech had an 80% or an 800%, something ridiculous jump in applicants on the day of the national championship game. So it obviously is impactful to the bottom line for the institution, not just the athletic department.
And I remember when I was doing a lot of the stuff for you and the previous chancellor was talking about the use of athletics as advertising. I mean, because that's really kind of what athletics has almost turned into, is an advertising to draw more students in. Boise State saw it when they went to the national championship, and then all these, UCF with their success. I mean, we're seeing these huge increases just because of people want to be part of winning programs and visible winning teams. I mean, I was talking to one of my clients who was a big Texas Tech fan, got a new Maserati and actually changed the leather so that the stitches would say TT all the way around on it. I mean, like these guys they love to be part of winning programs. People do.
No, they do. And, one of the biggest things that really kind of slapped me in the face was when we won the bowl game that month and also had our run in the Diamond Head Classic when we beat Davidson and upset Miami, number 6 in the country, and almost beat USC. The institution actually hired a media company to measure the amount of earned media. And it was amazing, that run. One of the deans said, there was a story, I don't know if you recall, that the university was accepting like jars of peanut butter to pay off your parking ticket that went to the Aggie cupboard, the food pantry. And somebody said, yeah, that got, 100, I don't know, it was $90,000 of earned media or what have you. And then one of the deans said, well, what about athletics? And it was like $250,000 in that, 2-week period of time. So it was just off the charts from a national standpoint of all the media that was earned. And that wasn't even television. It was just print media. So it just shows you the power of what an athletic department can do.
So then the other side of obviously is the student athlete side of this. And I'm not a pay the players guy, because they are, you mentioned getting a great education, which is which is what they're there for. And, I know the value of an education. When I was at UNLV, I was the first one to graduate from the baseball team in 6 years.
Right.
Because they went off and people got drafted.
Now let's clarify. It didn't take you 6 years to graduate.
No, I was the first
You're,
person.
you're not Dr. Beasley.
No, I'm not.
Clearly it was 7, I
7,
believe
yes.
is more accurate figure.
Yes. Oh my God, I graduated. I passed. Right. And so, you've moved on from an athletic career because you got drafted by the Detroit Tigers.
Yes.
Played in their farm system for a while, but then you moved on to obviously doing these kind of things. How, when you talk to a lot of these athletes, that's got to be some of your stuff too, is, hey, you guys have these careers that you're going to have to go into.
Well, you can't put a price tag on education, and people, and I get it. Hey, coach is making $8 million, and what am I getting, this stinking education? Well, yeah, but that's setting you up for the rest of your life.
Right.
So, while you can put a value on it, hey, this is what tuition costs, it's really setting you up. And you can look at a million different surveys that tell you what college graduates can earn in comparison to non-college graduates, and that just shows you the importance. I think since there is such a difference, and, a while ago it started at Northwestern with the players maybe wanting to unionize and get paid. Well, then the NCAA, and it was really the Autonomous Five that drove this. The Power Five schools said, hey, we want to start paying cost of attendance. That's the name, cost of attendance. Everybody's like, what's that? Well, there is a hard cost of what a scholarship is worth. When I offer a football player, men's basketball player, tennis player, a full scholarship, it's worth X. But then there's that delta between what does it really cost to go to school for that year,
right.
And that amount, that delta, is the cost of attendance number. Now, ironically, it's a federally generated number, so we will have a different cost of attendance number than New Mexico, than Texas State, than so on and so forth. And you can pay that student athlete, you can write them a check for that figure annually.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then it gets to be, wow, who can write the check? And for a long time, the Autonomous Five said immediately, hey, we're going to offer full cost of attendance. So every year, a football player at Alabama or Rutgers or whatever can receive anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000 to $6,000, whatever that cost of attendance number is.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we know that in the group of 5, people are doing it. By the way, this is a widely held secret. It's never published exactly what they're giving. But we know that UNM was doing it. We know that UTEP was doing it a little bit. So this is the first year. Next year will be the first year we get into the cost of attendance game, where we will be, for a full scholarship, you'll be getting $500 a year, like in the form of me paying you. Mm-hmm. Now, we could offer much more in theory if we had the money, because our cost of attendance number annually is probably about $4,200 to $4,500. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't have that kind of money.
Right.
The other thing is, hey, if I've got a star football player, I can give him $500. The only catch is I have to give a corresponding female athlete the same amount of money. You can't just give it to 85 football players. If you do, you got to find 85 females, and that's what we've done.
Right.
And you can't just give it to football and leave out basketball, who's won 30 games. So now you're talking 100 male student athletes and 100 female student athletes. Right. And pretty soon that ends up to be a 6-figure investment.
Well,
so, go ahead.
I've always found it difficult that, we have the rules, the Title IX rules and everything there. We have to be equal with men and women. I get that. But it seems like it'd be hard in your job with that, with football, that there really is no corresponding female equivalent that takes that many people, that there's no women's football league to go offset that.
And that's what the argument has been a lot about. Hey, can you extract football from the equation and then add up the numbers? That has not been a winning argument out there. So, for maybe the layperson, the Title IX has 3 different prongs. The most stringent prong is that your undergraduate enrollment percentage, male to female, needs to mirror your student athlete male to female ratio. So we're 53% female to male. At New Mexico State, we're right around 53% female student athletes to male. A lot of people don't realize we have 10 women's sports on the women's side, 10 sports on the women's side, only 6 on the men's side. So that's how we get to that number. They usually give you about a 3 percentage point confidence barrier, they call it.
Right.
But anything over that, hey, you could be at risk of not being in compliance with Title IX, which is a federal law.
Mm-hmm. We're here with Mario Mocha, Director of Athletics for New Mexico State University, with us here on the We Are Money podcast with Beasley Mitchell and Company. Switching gears on you to one other thing that's been in the news a lot lately is that whole getting people into school, the pay to play thing with the Full House mom, right, and all that sort of stuff.
Aunt Becky.
Aunt Becky, right? And so Aunt Becky, they were using coaches at these lower level non-revenue
team,
generating
right?
the rowing team and all that
Sailing.
stuff as a way to get people in. I mean,
Sure.
it's just one of those where, I mean, people are going to find out ways to cheat the system and go through this whole process. And so, it's got to be hard on your standpoint to try to say, all right, how do I get out in front of this? Or say, hey guys, let's not, this is not okay to do.
Well, it's kind of amazing because there's two things, right? I mean, there's the overt, the cheating on the test scores, to be able to qualify, and then saying, hey, I'm a student athlete. I mean, that obviously has legal implications. I think the latest that's come out at UCLA is that they're asking people hey, can you put this person on the track team? And mom and dad are going to write a six-figure check to the athletic program. Well, that is not necessarily illegal. Now, the school probably has issues with that, but what I see is people have been donating buildings and alums where they have legacies and things like that. Obviously, New Mexico State is not the institution as much as those, the UCLAs, the Yales, things like that. So those are, first world problems for those folks. But at the same time, yeah, it's a hot button issue. And I know it's caused a lot of schools to really review the process of how is that athlete getting in, especially in a sport that maybe you can kind of hide somebody in sailing and rowing. They have teams of 50 and there's not a whole lot of people at the athletic competitions. Nobody's really looking at the website. I think obviously the perpetrators, for lack of a better word, found a little soft spot there, and they certainly took advantage of it.
When I remember even when I was playing, there was a couple guys in our teams that were like, how are you? How are you here? Because you're not a terrible baseball player, but boy, there's certainly a lot of guys that we cut that
are better than you.
Right.
Oh, daddy's that. Okay.
Oh. Yep.
Okay.
And that's been going on
forever.
I think at the end of the day, maybe the difference is, do you have any business being on the field? Maybe if it's close,
right?
And dad wants to support the program. Hey, that's the nudge that works out. Or have you never picked up the left-handed football bat, as we say, and
the keys to the batter's box?
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
The box of curveballs, all those good ones. So yeah, that's always interesting. My favorite still of this whole process has been when Dr. Dre posted that he's so proud of his daughter to get into USC. And then immediately they say, well, yeah, 2 years ago, you made a $70 million donation to USC.
I'm assuming that didn't hurt her prospects.
Yes.
If I had to take a guess.
I'm guessing too. I'm guessing that when we have the Mario Mocha School of Athletic Directing at New Mexico State, that your daughters may,
That's right. I'm going to sit on them and do their homework so they can get in legitimately.
Make sure they can get in legitimately.
What I've taken from this is that we need to be having a New Mexico rowing team to get down the Rio Grande.
You know what? Hey, if nobody comes out to call us on it, when it's dry as a bone, yeah,
we don't go very far. But
you can have rowing or sailing. I'll let you guys decide what sport you want us to start.
Awesome. I like that. We'll do that. We'll sponsor that. The We Are Money sailing team.
Yes,
at New Mexico State. So I like that. Well, Mario, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to jump into our few other topics, and so hopefully you can stay with us and kind of have fun with some of our silliness going forward.
Love to.
It's time for If Brad Ruled the World!
All right, so now we're to Brad's favorite segment, and we're going to bring on here our producer, Natalie.
Hello.
How are you doing, Natalie?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing all right. So, Brad, are you ready for your questions if Brad ruled the world?
I am.
All right, so Brad, I'll be asking you 5 questions regarding your choices in ruling the world. So question number 1. The state of New York gave its first CPA exam in 1896. For your world, you must pass an exam in order to be granted access to all the fine things Brad's world has to offer. What would your first exam question be?
My first exam question? I'm glad that you went that way, because I was going to ask you what would you need to exam for to be able to do in Brad's world, and that's a whole topic for a whole nother day. My first question. Oh, okay. What question would I ask if I had only one question to gain access? Are you a jerk? We'll go with that one. Are you a jerk? Because that's an easy question. Yes or no. Are you a nice person or not? That's based on that book by, and I'm not trying to be vulgar, but there's the book that the Harvard business professor wrote called The No Asshole Rule. It says, hey, those people that are jerks cause more problems than the people who are nice that aren't underperformers. So kind of interesting. What do you think, Dave?
I would probably go with the 400-point question on the SAT. What is your name?
What is your name?
Nice.
It's a good one. If you can't answer that,
If you can't answer that, or if you get that wrong, then
Yeah. Mario, you got a favorite question?
You know, it reminds me of the movie Old School when Rodney Dangerfield had to pass the test and the economics professor wanted to nail him and said, in 27 parts, can you please explain this? So I'll have to do some stuff, but I was going to go with the easier "what is your name" thing, but I do like the metaphysical "are you a good person or not?"
Are you a good person?
Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
My favorite part from that movie, by the way, is when he hands him the paper and goes, it's a little light, feels like a C, make it an A.
I like mine on that one is when he asked her out on a date. She goes, "I can't. I have class." He goes, "Why don't you call me later when you have no class?" Which is always good. All right, Natalie, go ahead.
All right, question number 2. Many believe the term bean counter, used to describe a nitpicky accountant, dates back centuries. In fact, it's only been used since the 1970s. If you could give accountants an official nickname, what would it be?
Wow, these are great questions, Natalie. So bean count. I didn't know that bean counter was from the 70s, so that had to be some derogatory term they were trying to make fun of accountants, I guess. What nickname could we give 10 Key Ninjas?
That is really good. I like that.
10 Key
love it.
Ninjas. I like that
I
one.
like that.
You know, David?
Maybe like the Abacus Avengers or something like that.
Mine would definitely be the men or women, depending on who's doing it, who determine if I vacation or not. Okay,
Your vacation may or may not start here.
that is
That'll
correct.
be our new slogan. I like that. Awesome. All right, Natalie.
Awesome. All right, question number 3. The people of the world are complaining that there are too many media outlets and you must save only one of the following: social media, print media, television media, or radio. Which media outlet are you saving and why?
Wow. That's hard. So print media, I don't know. We'll face it. Print media is kind of going the way of the dodo bird. There's a lot of it is just moved into social media. So print media, that one can go away. Plus, who likes to read books? Just have audible.com have somebody read it to you.
Wait for the movie to come out.
I think social media, the way it's being currently used is really difficult. I would love to get rid of certain aspects of social media. I like the informative news piece of social media, but I don't want to see about people's breakfast and lunch and all those kind of things. So I would honestly go social media. That's me.
I would keep radio, at least for the media, for the reason being is that you get focused on the information and not captivated by the picture.
So you're just mad because you're not attractive.
I'm exactly, yes. I am so mad there, and so should you because we look a lot alike.
Yes. The face made for radio.
Face made for
Right.
radio, and
Hello-
a
hello
body
to
made for it
YouTube.
too. So.
Yes. And so hello to the YouTube people. I've seen our videos on YouTube, and I'm trying to understand why Natalie doesn't put a thin filter on us.
Can we do that?
Yeah,
I
we can
hope
do that.
wish we could.
I'm going
Suck
to
it
chime in on this. So I agree with you. Newspapers are kind of going by the wayside. Then you got TV and radio, probably a little left, right. I'll stay away from politics.
Mhm.
I'll do social media because that's like a full banquet. You can have your meal, you can have your dessert. If you want to go to the fair and gorge on junk food and maybe throw up later, everything is on social media. So I think you can get everything there.
I like that. The cat videos.
Yeah, that's right. Got to have your cat video.
Gotta have the
Your
cat videos.
Karen things.
My
Like,
I've been infatuated by these Karen memes, which is all about like the angry mother or the angry ex-spouse. Like they're just really funny. Like, okay, whatever, Karen. It's the memes. I love it.
All right, so question number 4. The scientists of your world have discovered the technology to domesticate any wild animal of your choosing. If you could pick one wild animal that would be added to the domesticated animal list, what animal would it be and why?
Domesticated animal, what would it be and why? I don't know. The idea of just petting a domesticated koala would be kind of neat. It would just, be nice and soft, right? That's the
Wow.
soft side. I don't know. Koala would be kind of fun to domesticate.
yeah, I mean, you could go with the tiger, but you see what happens with those. Even if you do domesticate them, you don't want to.
I mean, I don't really have a desire to have like a domesticated cobra.
No, snakes are a big no for me.
I don't
I
know.
want to domesticate those. Maybe you see, I could almost go with like a chimpanzee or something because it'd be kind of like having like a just like a mini helper
Mhm.
there, and you can like train them to do things.
When I was little, I thought David was a mini chimpanzee, but turns out
got
he got a personality.
We've got a touchy-feely guy with a koala. We'll Michael Jackson-esque with Bonzo the monkey.
Yeah.
My first thought was tiger.
Uh-huh.
That'd be pretty cool, just walking around the mall with a tiger. And it's like a cat.
Right.
But what about an eagle?
Yeah,
I'm thinking an eagle.
That'd be kind of sweet.
Just kind of hang out. He can go get you stuff, and talons. He might like go fetch a beer, but it's going to poke some holes in it
What
with the.
what would your eagle's name be?
Oof.
I'm thinking Walter.
I think that's like a Step Brothers question.
Yeah.
What would your eagle's
John
name be?
Stamos.
Yeah. No, it'd be awesome. The emotional support eagle, that you could take on the plane with you and all those kind of
And
things.
nobody would mess with you
Yeah.
because those things are kind of intimidating.
Yeah.
Hey, attack. Ah.
Nice.
All right.
Those are all really good answers. I love it. All right, and the final question number 5. The scientists of your world have also discovered how to eliminate one of our basic needs while still allowing us to survive. So, for example, food, water, shelter, sleep, etc. So, which basic need are you eliminating?
God, I could just go with. There's so many jokes that you just teed up with all of those basic needs that are already being eliminated indirectly.
Obviously not food.
Yeah. Obviously food. I would not eliminate that. Okay. Basic need. I would go with the need for speed. No, the basic. I think honestly, the what's holding us back in a lot of our exploration of space and the depths is our need to breathe. Like if we could just kind of function without having to breathe, we could explore the ocean, we could go to space. I think it'd make it a lot easier because, we have these great ideas, but the whole like having to sustain life by breathing, that would be kind of interesting. I don't know.
I would kind of go sleep because it's, there's so much stuff that I can get done between the hours of like 10 p.m. and 6 a.m. And if I didn't have to sleep, I could just be uninterrupted and actually get it done instead of having to sleep and then help. So I could get so much more done.
I'm going to go with that too. Because look, if I'm going to live to, let's say 80, that's like 160
Yes.
instead of 80.
That's
If
true.
you do, yeah.
Well, you can go with the Talladega Nights, right? Well, given my high income potential and advances in modern medicine, there's no reason why I can't live to be 160, 170 years old anyways.
I'm glad we get some pop culture in there too.
Yes.
Always. Sounds good. Well, like I said, that's always my favorite one. And I would be remiss to say that, of course, Brad's World has chili cheese Fritos in it like it does every single time.
Yeah, so maybe that's like the third question is, do you like chili cheese Fritos and why?
And why? Yes, and then that determines whether you get in or not. Sounds good. Now we'll move on to our other segment, which is David's favorite, David's Legal Corner.
The information contained on David's Legal Corner is provided as a general public service. The listeners, if any, are advised to check for changes to current law and to consult with an attorney. David's Legal Corner does not specialize in sports law, entertainment law, academic law or any such combination of such laws. Therefore, thereunto, thereby, and thereunder, and hereinafter demonstrated, David's Legal Corner has no specialized insight into NCAA rules, NCAA violations, NCAA investigations, including NCAA baseball, NCAA basketball, NCAA hockey, or other NCAA sports, other than NCAA football on PlayStation, where under David's Legal Corner is a downright master at creating new and interesting teams such as the Beasley State Fighting Lettuce, who are always getting ahead. For explicatory purpose, the term NCAA shall, for the purpose of this segment, refer only to the National Collegiate Athletic Association, and in no way shall refer to the National Clinical Assessment Authority, the National Civil Aviation Authority, the New College Alumni Association, the NATO Civil Aviation Agency, the National Command Authority Aircraft, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, or the No Clothes at All Association. However, David's Legal Corner is interested in what that last organization has to bear.
And by the way, all of those are actual agencies that go by NCAA.
Things on the internet.
The No Clothes at All Association.
The No Clothes at All Association. Oh, wow.
Yes.
How many more times will that get Googled immediately after this podcast?
Yes. So I don't know. It's
Well, but it's probably like going to those nude beaches, right?
It's research.
You know,
Research.
yes.
It's like you have men have their thoughts in mind of when you go to a nude beach of what it's going to be like, and it's never.
Reality comes crashing in hard and often.
Yeah. Hopefully, it's not that hard on a nude beach. Sorry. All right.
So
anyways,
so what I was going to do since we had Mario in here is I have an article here that is 9 of the most absurd NCAA violations in recent memory. So these are things that we've talked about weird laws and things like that. These are different violations that have been reported with NCAA things to do. So the first one that we have here is that at the University of Oklahoma, 3 students ate more pasta than they were allowed at an event. So each of them were required to donate $3.83, the cost of that pasta serving, to a charity in order to be reinstated.
Well, thank goodness they didn't have to regurgitate the pasta.
Yes, yes.
That's
But
just crazy.
maybe they were just impastas. Sorry.
Bad.
Sorry about that. And then there's some here where, let's see, this is a recruit. A recruit here accessed Wi-Fi while they were accessing whether there was a recruit visiting, and the recruit accessed the Wi-Fi, and the bill came on for the university, and the university paid it without realizing that Wi-Fi was on there, and so that was a violation.
Death penalty. Death
Really.
penalty. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
My favorite though was during the NCAA tournament where they're like, "Hey, NCAA, we pay for Wi-Fi for our students at them." Yeah, newsflash: Residence by Marriott gives you free Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I don't know if that was thought out as well.
Yeah, that was a different one.
Let's see, and actually the cost of it was only $9.95, and the recruit was ineligible until repayment was made to a charity of their choice.
Oh dear.
And then this is one of my favorite because it relates to baseball, which is my favorite sport. But the University of Oregon actually had to report because they had the school treated the baseball team to a meal, and they also in that meal they allowed them to play mini golf and laser tag. And it was determined that the cost of the laser tag was an impermissible entertainment benefit.
That is, well, at least you can't get hurt in laser. I don't know. Can you get hurt in laser tag?
Well, if you trip over something,
That's
I
true.
think. But
That's true.
If you get shot in the eye, with
Yeah, I
laser,
didn't think of that either. So
you know?
yeah,
I'll
So-
allow it. I'll allow it.
yeah. So it's a and then let's see, there was one here where the university. Now this one's interesting because it's Mississippi State Bulldogs had to self-report here because they did not charge their student athletes for their late fees for failing to return in their cap and gown rentals. So the thing I'm most surprised at is how many of them are graduating.
Right.
And then they get
That's
that.
That's pretty good.
And it also makes a tremendous Halloween costume
it's
for the year.
great.
So, hey,
Yeah.
I
You
can
can be
see
a-
why they would come down on that.
You can be a judge. You can be
Yeah.
a judge in a different color. I mean,
Well, and these NCAA violations, it's just so interesting, Mario, because I mean, I know that it's not uncommon for institutions to self-report when it's
Sure.
hey, we didn't know, this was kind of inadvertent kind of stuff, but I mean, this has got to just drive you crazy on a daily basis, right?
Well, I think the general fan and everybody else, especially with the FBI investigation, sees these almost, I don't want to say incontrovertible evidence, but there's a lot of hardcore evidence out there. And then you talk about laser tag and pasta, and it's like, wait, we are ignoring, the murder on the street to hand out a jaywalking ticket.
yeah. Well, like I was okay. So my son is completely enamored with New Mexico State athletics. All the players there, he knows them all, especially football team, basketball team. That we're at a sporting goods store and we're getting things for baseball. Right behind me are a couple of football players. We know them because we've gone out to the events and they've signed his posters and everything. One of them comes up behind it. He's buying a pack of gum, literally a pack of gum. Hands a debit card. It gets declined. It's a couple of bucks. I'm sitting there going, I don't even, no matter who this person is, I would just go ahead and pay for that. I reach in my pocket and go, I can't do that.
That's exactly right. Yep.
Our company buys season tickets. I can't get this guy $2 just to buy this that I would do for a normal person just to do that.
Even that's crazy. You can have the team over for occasional meals, but even that is scrutinized. What are you serving? How much? And it's like, gee whiz. I mean, you have to, report to the NCAA that you're in the grocery store because you're going to have, your positional. If you're the offensive line coach, if you're the wide receivers coach, you can have those kids over for a meal on occasion. But what are you serving that? I mean, it gets into the minutia times 10. And as I said, there's a lot of big bad stuff going on. But boy, they sure have a lot of rules to catch every single little thing.
I remember when I was playing at the Harvard of Nevada.
Crap table, you.
You have crap table U. We had a baseball golf tournament, and so we brought in all these celebrities. We had some pretty big name celebrities that had come through on our golf tournament, and so the bright idea that the people that put on the golf tournament said is, well, we'll just have the baseball players caddy, right? And so we slept around the bags for the celebrity as we walked, the 18 holes or whatever it is. Well, the issue is at the end of the day, all these guys are tipping caddies because that's
Right.
very customary to do in the golf course. Well, we're all athletes and we're not supposed to get any tips. Now, obviously, I was not a very good caddy. Nobody was handing me any money. And it was this big, huge deal because some of our guys did take some money. And I mean, I think the administration there and the coaches handled as best they could. They said, hey, here's the box, put all the stuff back in the box, and we're going to buy a sound system for the locker room for everybody. And like, this is our way of mea culpa. They reported it to the NCAA and everything. But I mean, that was, to me, I get that one, right? That was not good. But, some of these other ones is just crazy.
And that's the most difficult thing. Obviously, you're talking about the direct cash payment, things like Wi-Fi, pasta, you got receipts. Right now, there could be a legion of donors around the country giving all these student athletes $20, $100, whatever, in an envelope. And the school would never know it unless it's reported, unless somebody got upset or what have you. So that's the thing. There's so much that it's so difficult to actually catch.
Right. And it's just, and I mean, like we at our firm, we always have during the summer some type of athlete, because that's the only time for these student athletes who are in the accounting department. If you're a basketball player and you're an accounting major, you're playing during the spring.
Right.
And so we hire a couple athletes every year during the summer so they can actually get experience just as a normal accounting intern.
Like we would for any major.
We would for any major, any accounting major, whatever it is. And so it's hard. But some of these, I just feel like it's such a minutia. And that would be the stuff, if I was in your position, that would just drive me.
There is some
crazy.
frustrating moments, that's for sure.
And just the last one I had really is not a violation, but more of a rules violation, is that I didn't know this, and this is the first year I got it because I think Brad pointed out to me, because of all the guys that can do this on Mexico State's basketball game, is that the rule book says you can't do a dunk during the last 20 minutes of a pregame warm-up. Otherwise, it is a technical foul.
Now, how old is that article? Because that is true.
Yeah, this one is, this was in 15.
Okay.
Because it's actually quoting where the University of North Florida played Tennessee Tech, and North Florida did that, got 2 free throws, and then Tennessee Tech got that and ended up winning by 2.
Now, they amended that rule.
Okay.
But I'll tell you, because I was the AD at Southern Illinois, and, the game's about to start, and the next thing I know, we're starting the game by them shooting 2 free throws. I'm like, what happened? They said so-and-so dunked in warm-ups. So, yes, I have experienced that, but they have changed that rule, so now you can dunk in warm-ups.
Well, I remember it used to be like it was only until the referees walked on the floor.
Right.
So there'd be dunking. It's like the ref. Oh,
here they come.
Layup. Yeah. And so it's always entertaining.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So cool. All right. Well, David, that's a great legal corner segment. And so, Natalie, let's finish up with the best code ever.
Fibonacci binary, the Internal Revenue Code. What will it allow? The best code ever now. The best code ever now.
All right, so here we are with the best code ever. So the rules for this is I will be providing you 3 sets of 4 laws. 3 of these laws are true, and 1 of the laws is fake. So the aim of the game is to guess which one of these laws is fake.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right?
Okay.
All right, so set number 1, the first question, or the first law. In Pacific Grove, California, it is illegal to kill or even threaten a butterfly. Number 2, in Florida, it is illegal to fall asleep beneath a hairdryer, even if you are a salon owner. Number 3, in Arizona, it is illegal to hunt parakeets. And finally, number 4, it is illegal to sell beer at a bar in Nebraska unless there is a kettle of soup on the stove.
David, you should have.
I think that last one, because I back at Nebraska law, they actually didn't cover that in Nebraska law, so
Wow.
I threw that one in for you to see if you would really know or not.
But that would not surprise me that one would be true, because they have a couple of weird ones.
I'm going with the
there.
falling asleep in under a hairdryer in Florida is fake. David, which one do you think is fake?
I think the one that's fake is the parakeet.
Killing a parakeet in
Yeah.
Arizona?
I think you can.
Mario?
Nebraska's got to be fake. I've had beers in Nebraska. I don't think there was soup at all those places. There might have been. I'm going to go with Nebraska. Not every bar has soup.
Those are all good answers. And David, you are correct. So it is legal to hunt parakeets in Arizona. However, it is illegal to hunt camel in Arizona.
Yes. Because all those wild camel
Those
out
camels. The
Gotta watch out
Yes.
for them.
feral camels.
Yes.
It is the desert, so you
Yes.
never know.
They're going around going, "Hey, what day is it? What
Hump
day?
day.
Hump day."
It is hump day today.
Can't be having that in Arizona.
That's awesome. Oh my goodness.
All right. Pardon me. So our second set of laws, number 1. In Alabama, it is illegal to wear a wig in church, but only if it causes laughter. Number 2. In North Dakota, it is illegal to sell beer and pretzels at the same time in any bar or restaurant. Number 3. In Atlanta, Georgia, it is illegal to tie a giraffe to a telephone pole or a street lamp. And finally, number 4. In New York, it is illegal to throw a ball at someone's head for fun.
All right. Well, I'm pretty sure that it's not illegal to throw a ball at somebody's head for fun in New York City because that's what the Yankees and Mets do a lot. So that'd
Yeah.
be.
Roger
really
Clemens
tough.
would have been put up for a lot.
I have to go with the Atlanta. It being illegal to put up a giraffe, tie a giraffe, but the South has such weird rules.
I'm going to go with the Alabama one. I think it's fake. The church wig.
The church wig.
I'm going with the beer and the pretzels. I'm staying on the beer theme.
I like it. I like it.
Very nice. All right, David, you're on a roll. That is fake. However, it is illegal to wear a fake mustache in a church in Alabama if it causes laughter.
Wow.
Not a wig.
The wig. So just make sure your wig doesn't come down too far.
Yeah. Once the wig becomes a beard,
Yes.
it's illegal.
So you can wear you can't.
So you can wear a wig.
You can wear a mustache in Alabama, a fake one, as long as it doesn't make you laugh.
In church, yeah. So the second someone's laughing, it becomes illegal.
Oh my goodness. Okay, that's typical Alabama.
Alabama. Yeah, the weird ones. All right, set number 3.
I was going with mustache.
And number 1, in Alaska, it is illegal to be drunk in a bar. Number 2, in Arkansas, it is illegal to mispronounce Arkansas. Number 3, in Aspen, Colorado, it's illegal to use a catapult. However, it is legal to own one. And number 4, in Ohio, it is illegal to get a dog drunk.
Everything's calling me to the Alaska that you can't be drunk in a bar, but I bet there's some obscure reason that like you can't be overserved in a bar. So I'm going to pass on that one. And I'd like to think that I don't know. I'm going to go with that. It's illegal. It's illegal. Excuse me, to mispronounce Arkansas.
I'm gonna go with Aspen.
The catapult in Aspen.
I think you can use a catapult in Aspen. There. So I mean, I think Harry and Lloyd would have used one if they would have had one.
Staying with Harry and Lloyd, I'm going to go with Arkansas.
All right. And the fake law is in Ohio, it's illegal to get a dog drunk.
Oh,
So it's actually illegal to get a fish drunk in Ohio.
But you
not
can
your
get your dog drunk.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Not the fish though.
What do you think
Not
your
the
dog
fish.
likes? I mean, you don't even have you don't have a dog.
I don't
do you
have
have
a
a dog,
dog.
Mario?
Cat.
Cat. Well, if your cat was a beer drinker, what kind of beer do you think your cat would be drinking?
Probably, I don't, that thing,
It'll be
I
like
hate to say this, but that thing kills pack rats and devours them. I've seen it. It's disgusting. So
Right.
probably, some sort of Olympian or Hams beer,
Hamm's
I think,
beer.
something like that. Yeah.
I just don't see like my dog if I ever had him being like a Coors Light fan. I just couldn't see that,
Pabst Blue Ribbon, perhaps.
PBR.
Yeah.
I get
Schlitz.
one that would just like wine.
Classy dog.
You have a classy dog?
Classy dog.
Oh,
yes.
so your dog's better than all of our
Yes.
dogs.
So I
Okay.
have 2 dogs, and both 2 are named after beers. So one we call IPA, which is for IPA. So I
Okay.
assume that he enjoys a nice, fine, hoppy IPA.
IPA.
And then I have Guinness, who enjoys Guinness.
Wow.
I can
Nice.
only
I
imagine.
see
I mean,
what
I've
you
never
did
fed
there.
them beer.
Yeah, I
but-
see what you
I'm
did
glad
there.
that's not. I'm glad that's not illegal. Otherwise, she'd be admitting to a crime.
Admitted to a crime in the, but only if she was in
Ohio.
So,
Yeah.
well, sounds good. Well, once again, another fun episode of the We Are Money podcast. We thank Mario Mocha, Director of Athletics from New Mexico State, for joining us in all of our hijinks.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. And gee whiz, there's so much more stuff when it comes to business and sport. Certainly, the donations have changed
Yep.
with the federal government. They've also now pretty much changed how you sports bet.
Yes.
It used to be only in the state of Nevada. Now it's all 50 sports. And how does that interact with the athletes? And if you can go down to your local place and put a bet, does that put you more at risk for point shaving? So yeah, there's a lot of more stuff we can talk
Well,
about.
I think that when we get, that's a whole great episode that we'll have to sit down and talk about that one. Because my favorite one was when they first legalized that you could bet on UNLV
Right.
in Nevada. So I was going to school there and was there at the time. And I had a 5-team parlay with the last one being the UNLV Wisconsin game that night. And I had UNLV, who was like, plus 35 or something like that.
Right.
And so I had won all 4 of those. And I'm sitting on a ticket with UNLV, and we're only down 7 in the fourth quarter. And I'm like, I got this. I was going to win about $700 or $800 on a $5 bet. Then all of a sudden, halfway through the fourth quarter, lights go out in the stadium. A truck hit the transformer outside of the stadium, and it was done. So under NCAA rules, the game was over. But for betting purposes, the game was not over. And so it just went poof. It was a push. You just got your money back.
Wow.
And so it's like, really? Like, that's what we resorted to, was a truck hitting a transformer, killing the power to the stadium.
See, Dave didn't finish the story. He talked about the pack of gum and our student athletes. Then he said, hey, how's your hamstring? Because there's a game tomorrow. No, he didn't say that. He did not say
that whole
that.
process. And, sounds good. Oh, well, like I said, I think we'd love to have you on again, Mario, because there's so much more fun stuff we'd like to talk about. And as we keep going, and like I said, we'd love to have you on again.
Thanks for having me, and thanks to Beasley Mitchell for everything they do for New Mexico State Athletics.
We are the We Are Money podcast. David, thank you very much.
Thanks, Brad.